Hey, good evening. They must be charging too much tonight for the tickets. Last night we had 225 and we've been right around 140, 125. People are overworking. Okay, let's get started. The other night I was asked if I knew something about one of the Red Cross volunteers that had been on this fire as a volunteer working in the evacuations. And I didn't. But we were able to find some things out for those of you who may know. And while this wasn't a part of our incident, and certainly not an incident within the incident, we get to know these folks over the years and the different assignments that we've all gone on. It's a small world. And volunteers all over the state or all over the country don't always get all the recognition that they need. And even with that, they continue to perform. And I don't know all of the individual story about Kathy Duffner, but I do know that she had been a long-serving volunteer, that she had had some health issues, had recovered from those issues, and this was her first assignment back as a Red Cross volunteer. On their way home, her and her husband were involved in a car accident. The car rolled a few times. Kathy was killed. John has survived. They're having the memorial for her Saturday, tomorrow, at 3 o'clock in the Plains Bible Chapel. Plains. So those of you who may have known her, I'd like to take just a few moments before we get into this and just take just think about what that volunteerism means to a community like yours. The sun always shines a little brighter. Okay. The other recognition that I'd like to make is all these signs. My goodness. There were 30 kids. I understand got together. And over there, they can hear me. And as I was down here earlier, I saw, the firefighters driving by. They're all taking pictures. We took some pictures of those too, and they're up on our INSEE web. You can see them at INSEEweb.org. I'm sure many of you have been going there for fire information anyway. Thank you for that. They appreciate it. Well, let's get started with where the fire... Oh, I got one more thing. Y'all know what's in there, right? Those go back with Pat. Okay. Let's get started then on the fire issue. Tonight we had the briefing map up here earlier, but we also had an infrared flight last night. Measures the heat. They fly over in the dark while you guys are all sleeping, and measures the heat. And it tells Joe and our operations people where that heat is and where to send those forces. So I'll let Joe talk about what this fire is doing from the infrared map.
Okay, I'll just kind of go over first of all what we're doing tonight and tomorrow, just to cover that. Last night the fire was down to the Flat Creek Road here. We actually worked the fire, burned off the road here, brought this fire up to Club Gulch, and tonight we're going to actually work this around the corner so that we can kind of close off its ability to move across that Flat Creek drainage. We'll still be patrolling this. Today we had all of our engines on it. Tomorrow we'll probably have about 4 or 5 engines plus 10-person module off the helicopters walking behind here. And one thing I want to emphasize, especially in these areas where we've got the steep slopes that are clear right down to the structures there. All those trees and stuff that are up there that have been dead for 20 years and laying on the ground have caught in rocks as they've rolled down. Now those things are running out as we speak. And over the next week or two, they're going to be letting boulders go coming down that hillside towards the back of those structures, or any little kids that are in those backyards. So just a heads up that there's kind of a change dynamic in there, and it's going to affect you for a while. And the first heavy rain that you get any of that ash that's up there from those trees that have been burned out that gets washed away by any heavy rains is going to let more rock come off that hillside. So it's just kind of a heads up in there, because it's just kind of a bad deal for any kids you got in the backyards in there. Up around here, we utilized helicopters to keep this thing from trying to round the corner and get established to get running up here. Been working on that all day. Up in here, we've been kind of prepping to try to get around the back side of this by using roads, dozer lines that we put in to get connected. So tonight, we're going to come off a road back in here and try to fire out and get it burned down to the Keystone Road in there. But the problem is that we've got a kind of a mountaintop up here, so we got to go into the fire, and then we've got to bring fire down to the road, going to the north, and then try to work that down the road and around the corner until we get to the bottom of the drainage before this thing comes up out of system. And so it's going to be problematic, and the reason I put up this IR map is not so much to show you all the heat that's inside there, but to show you all these little knobs that are out here. Now all those are fingers, and this is from last night, and half those things are halfway down the hill, and they're moving out. And so as those get in there, and the further they get down the hill, they get wind pushing them slide slope, then they got the ability to run back up. And so at any rate, we're going to be working tomorrow to even those out, get on a contour line, get those evened out, so that we hopefully we will be down about 2/3 of the way down, about 3 in the morning when it's the coolest, the RHs are the highest. Then we can bring that right down to the road with the least amount of fear of that crossing the road, get established and running up this side, and then we hopefully will have this all buffered in up on that end. As soon as we pinch that, we get this pinched tomorrow, or tonight rather, into tomorrow. We'd probably hang it up in here somewhere, and then work this tomorrow, get it all established, and then use our night crews that we got out there and try to pinch this off coming both directions. So that's our plan. That's what we hope to accomplish. Pretty problematic up in here. I think they'll turn the corner on that tonight. At least up the gulch up in here, we have containment up to Club Creek, all the way around the front to just past this party drainage. We've got some structures down in here. They've got it tied off about in here, but the rest of this to that corner is not.
Okay, with this fire spread and this change and some of those actions that you've now heard, it will bring some additional closures, not large, not really impacting, I don't think many of you, but our district ranger here is on you. Explain those to us a little bit, better than I can, because she knows the trails and so do you.
Thanks, everybody. So we are going to close a few more things for public safety right now, and they went into effect today, and most of them have been posted already today, or we might add additional posting to let folks know to get into these areas. So I guess just in general, the area towards Johnson Creek Road, so from what's already closed now, which is kind of everything you see over here, back that way, is closed over to Johnson Creek Road. Johnson Creek Road is not closed, so that's still open for people to access their private property or whatever else they need to do. But any of the interior roads from Johnson Creek Road over towards Flat Creek and the interior of the fire, those are all closed for public safety. So in addition to that, there's the divide trail, which is kind of up on the 9-mile divide on the edge of where the Superior District and the 9-mile district come together. And the reason for that trail closure is just thinking that it would be really hard to go in and get somebody out of that area and find them in time and things. So it's just a precaution that if we do get fired, then it'd be really hard to go in and find everybody on the trail. Kind of the same way, there's a trail over the opposite direction on the other side of Keystone as a crow flies, called the Cascade Trail, or I think it's Iron Mountain, they also call it, and it's from like the Cascade campground. There's a little short trail, you can still use that one to get up to the falls, that'll still be open, but beyond that, the one that goes up a lot higher, that'll be closed. And for the exact same reason, it's just too hard to go find people on those trails, and we get some spotting way ahead of the fire. We just don't want to risk that. And along those same lines, on that side, we also kind of went out again with another area buffer, area closure. So the roads that are part of the slowway system of roads, those are all closed, basically by closing the slowway road. So not the exit right at slowway is still open for just a short ways, but the system of roads up there called slowway, that area, that's all going to be closed. And that'll all be posted because that's kind of a convoluted kind of hard thing to explain. So they'll all be posted along with the beginnings of the roads. Don't get mixed up and and for now, that's what we're having on. I announced last night that we're probably going to be closing the slowway campground, and we're still kind of working on that right now. That's a little bit of a process, but just for people's safety, we really rather they not come down and use that campground tonight because it's just we have a lot going on in there, and we have a lot going on in that area tomorrow. So, any questions on those?
You've probably heard or seen for yourself the air show that's going on down here to the west, the Dry Creek turnoff. So I don't have availability tonight of our air ops. They're kind of busy. So we'll go right to Tom Heinz, our incident commander, and then we'll open it up to questions.
Thanks, Ben. Good evening, folks. Kind of a different scene here tonight than our first public meeting Monday night, and how much can change in a few days. Kind of what took place back here was actually a pretty complicated, pretty delicate operation took place to burn that out behind all these facilities, and so have to take our hats off to the crews that did it, but also to the support that you folks gave us. I think when John called the mutual aid for those outside engines and the Blue Star program kicked in place, we brought in that law enforcement to support your sheriff were really key items that helped make that successful and pull that off. So John, we appreciate that very much. And I think as Joe has described, a lot of the hazard and concern has been eliminated from the front part of the fire here, and certainly about Superior. Not that it's all gone, but looking much better. But there is a lot of fire and a lot of potential hazards as we go back in the back here. But never can be too sure. But if we could get 3 or 4 good days and the weather doesn't hit us too bad, there's a chance we can finish that off and clear it, I believe. Otherwise, I think there again, part of our success to this point was the coordination and cooperation with the local folks here has been great, and your folks' support, we appreciate that, and we kind of felt that from the first night we got here, so we certainly do appreciate that. And we'll continue to work at this. I hope to make some good headway and take some of that fire out behind your mountain area too. So once again, thanks from myself and the team to this point. So any questions? Welcome.
Okay, I do have one more presenter, the sheriff, before we get into the question side of it. Sheriff, I know you wanted to address this evacuation.
Thank you, Pat. So today we've made some modifications to our evacuation, and part of it has been partially lifted. Thanks to so much of the work that the crews have done to work so hard to try to make it so that you folks wouldn't be so impacted. But I think I'd like to remind folks that from the time that we made the first evacuation on Monday night to tonight is well less than 96 hours. And I think that's a testimony to the hard work that both the crews from the team and from our local fire department have done to make it so that you folks could get back. So just thank you guys.
Mike's trying to contact me about the slowway, but we don't need to go out at Dry.
First of all, this morning we needed to make some changes to the slowway because of the impact from folks going onto the slowway road and off the Dry Creek exit. We needed to block that from right on Southside Road to the bridge that leads to La Vista. and we have a blockage there, and then we also have another point that's over on the Slowway Gulch Road. So there's about a 2-mile stretch of slowway that we needed to cordon off to allow the crews to be able to do their work without being impacted by folks that, not even from here. We just had a lot of people coming off that interstate that weren't even from Montana that were coming in and causing problems. So we needed to make that adjustment. Keystone then remains a mandatory evacuation area. So what we were able to do today with consultation with the team was that we were able to open up a large portion of what had been evacuated. The initial portion that we evacuated on Monday was from Sunflower west to Pardee. And so that has been opened up this evening to residents only. So we're requesting that the access to be only to residents. We do have a repopulation agreement for that. We're handing out to folks that describes what they need to expect being in that fire area, because there are still crews that are working on that. And there are still some dangers that still exist. However, by handing those out, we're alerting people what they need to be aware of. Now, from east of Sunflower all the way to East Mullan has been open to the general public, and that allowed the businesses to open back to the general public. So opening up East Mullan, you can go through, but we still have the Big Eddy closed, and that's because of the operations that are going on there. We still have Flat Creek outside the city limits, so from Cemetery Road north still remains closed as an evacuation. And just for folks to be able to have, I have some handouts here that describe the areas that are closed, what's open, how it's open, and if you could take one for each family, you can pass those around. And I think that's about all I have, unless there's some questions.
Got some good kids in this town. They haven't been stealing my maps off of the board. I guess it's the kids. I don't. Would you like to remap what this fire was doing? Okay. Anybody else? There, we'll give her one. I found some. Okay, we got boxes. There you go, son. Okay. A bigger color version. Anybody wants that? Okay, there you go. Oh, you got one. And this is an old, well, it's from way old. It shows the structures. That night we were, kind of doing our thing here. Over here. Okay, there you go, hon. You want to get up, grab it? I'm tethered here. Okay. All right. With that, Joe and the IC and the Ranger, District Ranger, if you've got questions, now's the time. Timely, accurate, and truthful. Remember our promise. How many acres? Still 4550. Based on what we saw here. Now, remember, I can't stand up here in front of you. You've been watching it burn all day. So a lot of that, though, is this interior burning. And yes, there's been some growth. I can't tell you what that is. Tomorrow morning we'll know what that is, because we're getting another IR flight tonight. Yeah. I don't know if anybody's been able to assess that much yet. You want to know about the reburn, if there's been reburn going on in the black. I'm sure there has, but we just haven't had anybody interior to even try to check that. Is a bear team? Okay. Burned area emergency response teams will follow us up, and they'll have more of that kind of information and data to you. Intensity of burn, where it burned, hot, all that. Air tankers, the heavy air tankers. Joe, did you run mud? Did you use heavy air tankers?
Well, what we set up was
I'm sitting here with Trent right now.
And today we did not. What we did was we set up what we call a hell well.
Just hang in there until we
Coordinated.
can try to find
And-
Marion and see what she wants
Okay,
to do.
and so what that allows us to do is get under the helicopters
I'm here.
and suck up
I'm
all
on
that
speaker.
retardant, and you can actually use a helicopter a lot
Oh,
closer to
okay.
the fire line.
Probably Lori.
Where the planes, you might have to put it on a ridge or
Okay, bye.
down a ridge. It's just more accurate. We thought it'd be better use of taxpayers' dollars to get a little closer to the fire. It'll be set up there probably in the next at least 4 or 5 days for sure. That's if we get around our corners. So.
Other questions, ma'am? If there's a closure at the campground on Slowway, will the neighbors be notified?
Just to clarify, are you asking because, right, so what I'm saying is the campground isn't closed necessarily because we're afraid the fire's gonna get in there or anything like that. If that were the case, then for sure, yeah, you would be notified, all of those people in that area. We're thinking of closing Slowway Campground because for 2 or 3 reasons. One is, we might need it as a staging area for firefighters, as a, spike camp for firefighters, pre-positioning, something like that. Also, if it ends up being quite an air show down there like we've been having here, I'd rather not have a lot of campers in there and have to deal with that, have the fire crews having to deal with all of that at the same time. And then the other reason would be traffic in and out of the campground. But yeah, if we ever had fear of the campground as far as the fire goes and fire getting there, then you guys would be notified at the same time for sure.
When you hear the term defensible space, what does that mean to you guys? An operational term? Do we want to get fire trucks around your house or something like that? Yeah. We're talking survivable space, and I hope from this you have got a sense for when we talk survivable space, mitigation, I'm talking about mitigation, that's really what we want. We want people, residents, sharing the responsibility. We had that discussion. And part of that is, you know, you ask what can we do for firefighters? Share the responsibility, mitigate around your homes, use this Class A fire rated stuff. Believe me, it works. It pays off. So the difference between defensible space and survivable space is we don't want to have your home need to be firefighter intervention to make it survive. Survivable space means it will survive on its own. You can come back from the evacuated when the order is lifted, having talked to all of us, had good nights in a motel or wherever it was, and everything will still be there. Survivable space versus defensible. But that's it. Now, it's vote time, and I get the feeling things are kind of waning here. Maybe we don't need to do this tomorrow night. What's your thoughts? No? No? Okay. How about, yeah, because everybody's working there hard. They still got to do that irrigated green space stuff we talked about. Keep that lawn keep it irrigated. So how about we wait a night, we skip a night and see how this goes? That be okay? Okay. Sunday is a bad fire weather day. Yeah, no question. So maybe Sunday night, Sunday in the park with all of us again? With cookies? Okay. Let's do that then. Thank you very much for your cooperation. We'll see you at 8 o'clock on Sunday night.
tell him, call me as soon as it gets there, and I'll get a truck over there again.
Oh, he's probably at home already. Yeah, well, he got to collect stuff. He may be, but all of our stuff actually is in cars. I just have, not crazy stuff. I'm gonna go back up and then.
No. I ran 30 past me, and then before last, ripped a bunch of home, and once you have across from the truck off, I don't know right now. Somebody down here called. Getting updated.
Obviously, no hurry, but I thought, what am I supposed to do with that? But I figured I'd see you somewhere, so.